Hello, Tom Luxon here again, and today I have the distinct privilege to introduce William Shakespeare's last play, Two Noble Kinsmen. Months ago I introduced Two Gentlemen of Verona, most likely Shakespeare's first play. I recommend that you review that video if you can, because these two plays, Two Gents and Two Kinsmen, look to me very much like bookends to Shakespeare's playwriting career. Not only do they have similar titles, they also share one of the dominant themes of Shakespeare's comedies and romances, the competing and often confounding claims made by male friendship on the one hand and heteroerotic love and marriage on the other. Shakespeare was, of course, not alone in this usually comic exploration of classical friendship doctrine and its conflicts with Reformation teaching on marriage. English schoolboys throughout the period read widely in the classical texts on friendship: Aristotle, Plato, Cicero, Plutarch, and Renaissance humanist treatments of the topic like that of Michel de Montaigne. I reckon that Shakespeare and his schoolmates invented countless jokes about the homoerotic and homocentric claims of classical teaching, and that these jokes made their way into plays like Two Gents, The Comedy of Errors, and Twelfth Night, just to name a few. In Two Noble Kinsmen, these jokes take an unusually dark turn. And unlike the crude misogyny of Two Gents, this play insists that women are not just targets of erotic desire, but that they have desires of their own, both homoerotic and heteroerotic. The play also weaves in epic themes like love and war, Venus and Mars, and the competing roles of fickle fortune and providential fate in human affairs. I'll detail some specific examples of the play's dark turn, but first, let me address an issue that has bedeviled critics for years. Shakespeareans generally agree that this play was written in collaboration with John Fletcher, who succeeded Shakespeare as the leading dramatist of the Kinsmen, the group of players Shakespeare founded. This may account for the play's exclusion from the first folio, which was published posthumously by Shakespeare's colleagues in 1623. But in my opinion, we should not be over-concerned with the question of who wrote which parts, which has dominated commentaries on this play for decades. Many, if not most, of Shakespeare's plays involved collaboration, and the jarring tragicomic and epic absurdist aspects of this play I take to be intentional, rather than, as some have proposed, the result of two different playwrights' competing styles and concerns. As with Troilus and Cressida, Shakespeare here dramatizes one of Geoffrey Chaucer's most popular poems, The Knight's Tale, from the Canterbury Tales. Chaucer's Knight narrates the longest of the verse tales in this collection, even as he persistently claims that he is being as brief as possible. It's one of the running jokes throughout the tale. Two Noble Kinsmen extends this running joke by lengthening the dramatic version by more than 1,000 lines. Consider, for example, the play's opening scene. In Chaucer, one Theban queen speaks to Theseus on behalf of all three. In Kinsmen, each queen delivers an elaborate supplication of her own. One kneels before Theseus and addresses him. Another pleads to Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons. And still another queen addresses her supplication to Amelia, Hippolyta's sister. Thus, the episode is expanded to a ridiculous extreme, and all the kneeling and rising contributes to a sense of ritual absurdly overdone. And such overdone supplication rituals happen several more times throughout the play. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's just plain creepy. Besides stretching out the main plot, the play also indulges in a subplot, that in some ways mirrors but also darkly satirizes the main story. The main story, as it comes from Chaucer, concerns two noble cousins, Palamon and Arcite. These Theban princes remain loyal to the tyrant Creon out of a sense of honor. The play suggests a misplaced sense of honor. When Theseus, king of Athens, agrees to postpone his wedding to the queen of the Amazons, Hippolyta, who, you remember, he just defeated in battle, thus turning the spoils of war into an occasion for romance, he marches on Thebes and quickly defeats Creon's army. At the bottom of a pile of dead Theban soldiers, he finds Palamon and Arcite, barely alive, and takes them back to Athens, where they recover, but are imprisoned, so they believe, for life. At first, the cousins accept their fate quite philosophically. Acknowledging that they will never marry or have children, Palamon and Arcite embrace their fate in terms borrowed directly from classical friendship doctrine. Says Palamon in Act 2, "'Tis a main goodness, cousin, that our fortunes were twinned together. 'Tis most true, two souls put in two noble bodies. Let 'em suffer the gall of hazard, so they grow together, will never sink." That is, like classical friends, they will grow into sharing one soul in two bodies. Arcite pushes this time-worn theme in a new direction, one familiar to us from Reformation teaching on marriage as a friendship. Says he, "Let's think this prison holy sanctuary, and here, being thus together, we are one another's wife, ever begetting new births of love." But no sooner have they decided to almost wanton with their captivity, Palamon looks out the prison window and sees the fair Emilia in the garden below. It is, of course, love at first sight. Then Arcite looks out the window. He also loves Emilia. Friendship instantly shatters. "I saw her first," whines Palamon. But Arcite has also fallen under the charms of beauty's powerful glance. Ironically, Emilia is oblivious to their desires. She's oblivious to their existence. In fact, she is at that very moment exchanging love banter with a character the play simply calls her woman. So, Palamon and Arcite, once classic friends, even spouses of a sort, become deadly rivals. Love engenders hate, and their cozy sanctuary reverts to a prison. The main plot takes many twists and turns, some of which leave us wondering whether we're witnessing love or war, as when Arcite and Palamon prepare for a duel to the death by armoring each other with the sort of solicitous care lovers might take in undressing each other. Keep an eye out for other such twists and turns, which remind us of Theseus's famous line from A Midsummer Night's Dream. There he said to Queen Hippolyta, "I wooed thee with my sword, and won thy love, doing thee injuries." The subplot appears to come from out of left field. The prison has a jailer. The jailer has a daughter. Imitating a patrician father, the jailer has found a husband for his daughter, one of his friends. But she, I wish she had a name, falls in love with Palamon at first sight. Her obsession with Palamon mirrors the cousin's obsession with Emilia, but with some key differences. Unrequited love drives her into a melancholy, then to madness. She even echoes Hamlet's Ophelia and Othello's Desdemona. In the end, sorry for the spoiler, her father tricks her into sleeping with the man he chose for her, but after dressing him up as Palamon. Funny, but so dark, I dare you to laugh. I will not spoil the end of the main plot for you, except to say that it pretty much follows Chaucer, with an important exception. Unlike Chaucer, Shakespeare and Fletcher endow Emilia with two opportunities to choose between the two princes, Palamon and Arcite. She says she cannot choose, but would love to have them both. Enjoy.